Everyone, JVD here from the Village of the Man, bringing you another comic book review over the Night of the Monster Men crossover from DC Comics under their Rebirth banner. It takes place in 3 different series. It takes place in Batman Volume 3, Issues 7 and 8, Nightwing Volume 3, Issues 5 and 6, and Detective Comics 941 and 942. And depending on how you see that, it's either Volume 3 or with Legacy numbering, which I go by as Volume 1. I was really excited to read this based on the first arc of I Am Gotham with Batman, which I've done a review over. Check that out. Due to the fact that Hugo Strange had at least Solomon Grundy, and I was really looking forward to reading it. And then as I read it, it's kind of boring. I felt like it was more than nothing but filler for possibly all 3 series. I do not read Detective Comics for the most part unless it crosses over with Batman. And Evan the Great reads Nightwing, so I'm really not sure what's going on in Nightwing, though he says it's really good. But it's basically to further along the, I guess, coming encounter between Batman and Bane. Back in the I Am Gotham story for Batman, Hugo Strange had traded the Psycho Pirate to Bane for some venom, and this is basically what he had done with it, and he was mutating the venom with other chemicals and whatnot to create his own group of monsters. And by monsters, I'm not talking, typical comic size monsters, like Solomon, Grundy, whatnot, but these are like kaiju size monsters, which I thought was kind of strange for his character because he's a psychologist. But in the end, it's leading to a confrontation that Hugo Strange wants with Batman. So basically, he can tell Batman that he's inferior, and as long as he's Batman, which he doesn't deserve to be, that everybody that follows him is going to die, and that he should take over as Batman. And obviously doesn't work. But for the most part, if you read any of these 3 series, which I'll go back over those, which is Batman, Nightwing, and Detective Comics underneath DC's Rebirth, you can probably skip these and it would save you a lot of time. Even though Batman, I know this is going to tie into the Bane stuff that's coming up, that's been advertised. Now, it does have some pretty cool moments in it. But I'll start off with the monsters. The first thing they encounter is this giant, bloated, baby-looking thing, and it's easily 3 stories tall. Its head is almost mushroomed out. It almost looks like something from Dead Space, maybe Silent Hill, just the way that it is. And basically, it's created from the genetics of 3 corpses, which you find out Hugo Strange had. They were patients of Hugo Strange, and they all had dealt with something in their childhood, like grief, regret, and it was all stuff that he was tying to Batman, and that's what he was dealing with that led him to become Batman, and they'll be his downfall. So basically, these are almost like they all represent what Batman has experienced as a child, even though Hugo Strange doesn't know that he's Bruce Wayne. Also, I would say that the third one that shows up at Blackgate, which Batwoman and Nightwing go fight, looks very much like that it would be from Dead Space as well, just based on its bladed hands and the bulbous body, which kind of reminds me of the Xenomorph Queen from the Aliens movies. Its egg sac that's basically attached to it, that gives birth to the facehuggers, and it looked pretty cool. The second monster that you see, and it's neat looking. It's almost very kaiju-like out of most of them. It looks like something you'd see out of Naruto, like one of the tailed beasts, if I've got that right. And it's pretty neat looking. And to me, it looks the best out of all of them. It looks like a legit monster that you would be scared of that would be, 10, 15 stories tall. And then towards the end of the book, the final monster also looks like it would come out of a anime, something like Naruto or something like that, due to the fact that, for one, it's created from the genetic makeup of the 3 monsters, and it forms into one monster, and it's almost like it's got dogwood trees growing out of its back, but all the petals are pink, so it looks real strange, but it looks pretty cool, and it's made from the blood of the other ones, and it started off from, no, I take that back. Scratch that. It's made from the slime that's in the cave where Spoiler and Orphan are taking the Gotham City civilians to, and the blood that's all of the monsters are all mixed with the mold that's in this cave makes this monster as they wind up burning it off the citizens as they're angry at each other. All the genetic makeup from these 4 monsters turn into an enormous, almost like Godzilla-sized monster. It's not a good story for these characters. It doesn't fit what you would normally see from these books, and it's kind of sad because, I mean, this is something like Superman you would deal with in a throwaway issue, and he's not even around. As close as you're getting at is Gotham Girl. What's strange is you think that Batman would call upon somebody like Superman to handle this because it's almost out of their league. But it's even funny because after they they save the day, the Justice League show up to Gotham to help, so it makes no sense, and that kind of really confused me. Which I guess that plays on to the part that in the beginning of Batman, that which is the only reason I read this, is that he cannot rely on the Justice League when it comes to Gotham. But he's got some pretty good deterrents for it. He has the Wayne Watchtowers, which he had built just in case Darkseid invaded again, which basically he was blasting the monsters with at the end. And there's a really cool scene in the book where everybody but Batman is getting into these 4 towers, and it's almost like a scene you would see from Voltron or the Power Rangers, where they are combining to form Voltron or the Megazord, and it almost seems like that, which all their symbols kind of glow on the buildings. It's pretty neat. Speaking of Batman's teammates, Nightwing and Gotham Girl, they get turned into Monster Men due to the monster they fight at Blackgate. And that's kind of strange because I don't know if, I'm guessing it was just the monster they thought's genetics that done that, because all the people that were caught in the tunnels with Spoiler and Orphan, it just made them highly aggressive and violent. And this one actually changed them, and Nightwing looked really cool, almost like between like a bird of prey and the Man-Bat, so he looked really neat. I didn't care for Gotham Girl's look. On that note, for a new character, she has had the worst start to her superhero career. Psycho Pirate has made her basically be fearful of everything for herself. Caused her brother to die, which she had to kill. So she's a little bit on the insane side. And next thing you know, she shows up to fight the monster at Blackgate, completely rips it up, makes it explode, and turns into a monster and winds up fighting the people who are supposed to be her friends. So she just has the worst luck at all. Let's see, some more of the monster stuff. The final monster, they be in the most craziest way ever. Nightwing jumps in with the this cure that they have that will, I guess, decompose the monsters, and he literally jumps inside of the thing. It's pretty insane, and winds up coming out unscathed. At the end of the book, when Batman goes to confront Hugo Strange and tells him, he's not fit to be Batman, those that he cares about are going to continue to die as long as he is Batman. It's strange that Hugo has his own Batman armor, which is a suicide vest, supposedly, and it's crazy how he beats him because, Hugo Strange says, you can't touch me, and he's like, I don't need to touch you. And he basically rids the whole room out of oxygen. And come to find out that Clayface has covered the entire top of this building where they're at, sealing the oxygen off from it. And Clayface really gets some good props in this book. When they have Gotham Girl and she's a monster, which makes her even more powerful than them, and she has these ultra powers, which, stacks on top of this, so she's unstoppable. Batman wears Clayface almost as Iron Man armor. And it's pretty neat. It's something you don't expect, which Gotham Girl gets rid of it with almost like a Hulk thunderclap. If, Clayface, if anything, gets, I would think, the most credit out of this book. I mean, not only the armor cutting off the the top of the building, the air, but he is able to split himself into multiple people, become cops and whatnot to help corral the citizens to safety. So he's basically the MVP of this whole book, and it's really nice to see him in that light. And if anything, I don't know, I think it was in the early 2000s, he was in a Wonder Woman book where he literally encased Wonder Woman and took her off, and took her over, and a lot of people just thought that was complete BS. But now it really gives that some legitimacy to see that, for one, he encased Batman, made himself into basically armor, and for the most part, he was able to encase the entire top of a large building. And if you look at this, I mean, it is a massive building. So, I mean, it really gives that whole book, that arc that he was in with Wonder Woman, a lot of legitimacy. So that's really nice to see. But otherwise, like I said, I didn't care for this. It was almost filler. But obviously for Batman, which I read, this pushes him closer to this encounter coming up with Bane, who has Psycho Pirate, which Bane is one of Batman's more notable foes when it comes to combat. So I'm really looking forward to that. But if I was you, like I said, if you read any of these three titles, Batman, Nightwing, or Detective Comics Rebirth, I would skip this. Yeah, I don't think you're going to miss much at all. But I'm JVD with Villains Man. Keep reading, guys.